Hey guys, it's the Bat-Tatted Sickle Rider, and today I'm really excited to show you guys a video that I've been working on for a while. It's our Sturgis trip that we took this year, 2020. So I'm just going to give you a rundown of kind of what happened and show you all of our pictures and videos along the way. We also have a big announcement too. We finally have an official logo for our page created by at Charlie Hustle. I'll also put a little link like at the end and probably down in the description on how to find him so you can check out his stuff. He's does a lot of things with like graphic design and stuff, and also really talented tattoo artist also, so you guys can check his stuff out. He's tattooing out of a place down in Texas, so if you happen to be down there, go and check him out. Alright, so here's what the logo looks like. Check it out and see what you think. Now to start our Sturgis video, so basically I'll just give you kind of a run through of each video, kind of where we're at, what we're doing, type of thing. Everybody that I talked to was right. You can't fit everything into one weekend down there. There was so much stuff to do, so many cool places to ride, tons of cool stuff to buy, which also, if you haven't checked out, I also made a video previously to this one called the Sturgis Haul. So that's everything that we bought down in Sturgis pretty much, and there's just so much cool stuff down there. Alright, so first we're going to start out with where we left off. So we went and met up with our buddy Dan, and we had a group of about, I want to say 8 to 10 bikes maybe, and good group of friends that rode down there. So we started out down in Colum, North Dakota. Our first stop was going to be Selby, South Dakota. While down in Selby, South Dakota, while we were hanging out at the gas station, we decided to get some food and some drinks, and one of our buddies found out that he had a knuckle taser in his bag that he had forgotten about. So another friend of ours wanted to use it while we were there and told our group that he would pay $100 for anybody that would let him taser him. So my brother went and jumped at the chance and got himself $100. Here, you can check that video out.
It kind of looks like his.
Yeah, a little bit. $100 and you can sit with the fucking taser.
Have you ever seen them?
No. How long do I get the hold for $100?
Shit, I don't need to. So should one
All right.
shoot my arm out?
Just go for it. Go for it.
You sure?
After Selby, North Dakota, we ended up going down to Pierre, South Dakota, I believe it was called. Stopped and had another gas, break the gas up and eat. We hit up the local McDonald's there. Got a quick bite to eat and get into some shakes. It was a pretty hot ride down there. So. And then we were back on the road, heading down to, I believe it was called Howes, South Dakota. And when you get out there, and it was so hot, and just everything, it looked like a desert almost out there. Like everything looked like just dead and dry kind of thing. And there was this little tiny gas station just kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and we stopped there, and they had like $1 waters, so we hurried up and drank a bunch of those, and then sat down, got out of the sun. And while we were doing that, we happened to look around, and they had this like door frame set up that had like a hose kind of routed through it with a bunch of holes in there, so it was just like a giant little spraying chamber door thing. So me, my brother, and my wife, we just decided to go and just drench ourselves because it was like 77 miles, I think. It was the last 77-mile stretch, I believe, to Sturgis. So we decided to hop in there and just soak ourselves to, because it was like, it kept getting hotter and hotter. It was like over 90 with like a real feel of like pretty close to like 100, I think it was. So it was pretty warm. So we did that, and then we hit the road. And all right, so finally arriving at Sturgis, we started getting closer and closer. And being from North Dakota, everything is flat out here. So we started seeing like just a bunch of cool hills and stuff like that, kind of, around once we got there, and it looked pretty cool pulling in there. And then it's just traffic of like bikes just all over. There's bikes, and we got to a little gas station on the outside of town. Gassed up one more time, and they had a couple booths sitting there. So we got like our Sturgis patches and stuff there. I think I got a T-shirt or something there also. And so we just kind of took another little break, and we're getting ready to head up to camp. So after that, we head to the campsite, and I believe the campsite we stayed at was called like No Name Campground, I believe, or something like that. And nice little campground, not too far from the rally and everything, so it wasn't too bad. Uh, nice little, they had a nice little bar, little swimming area. I think they had a hot tub, I believe, too. So finally went and got there, and everybody was pretty wore out from from the trip down there because it was just so hot. So me and my brother were just kind of being lazy, laying around, and my wife actually set up both of our tents for us. So we were lucky to have her along with for that. And then also my brother, he for some reason did not want to use sunscreen the entire time we went down there, so he got fried. He was wearing like a like a beater on the way down there, and by the time we got there, he was just beat red. And through the rest of the trip, he was just like, face was insanely red, and he was saying that every little thing pretty much hurt. And he couldn't wait once he got home, and he looked rough. Like his face was all peeled up from blistering and everything. And I think hoping he learned his lesson anyway, because it looked pretty bad just looking at it. I wouldn't want to have that happen myself. Next, we ended up going and checking out the strip. Once we got everything all said and done with, like unpacking, and we got kind of settled in, we decided to go check out the strip, and do some walking around with a few hours that were left. And we went down there, we saw some of the tattoo parlors, went and ate at one of the pizza places right down there. That was pretty good. And we went and checked out like a lot of the bikes that were there. Just people had like a lot of crazy looking bikes there and everything. So we went and walked up and down the strip, just checking stuff out, buying some stuff. Spent a little bit of time there. Then once it got kind of darker, we headed back to camp and tried to get rested up for day 2 down there. And yeah, so while we while we got back, it was getting kind of late and everything, but our buddy Dan, his daughter, ended up getting a hold of the taser that my brother had gotten tased with, and they decided to tase the guy who owns the taser, which was our buddy Braden. And it was probably the funniest thing I've ever heard. The best way to explain it is if you just Mickey Mouse screaming, pretty much was was what it sounded like. And she just tased the hell out of them and just kept going and going. And yeah, we actually got some video of that too, so you guys have to check that out.
Ask if anybody turned in the phone. Check the office too if they're in there. They might not be in there. Who's in there? Right now? Don't kill him!
Oh my god.
So day 2, we went down and parked at the Sturgis Harley area, and we checked out that Harley, and then made our way down the strip to check out all the vendors and everything. And we went and checked out this place that had a bunch of these V8 choppers sitting out front. That was really cool. So they let us start some up. One had like double turbos or something on it, and it was just crazy. So they let a buddy of ours sit on them and start them up and everything, and it was pretty cool. So for the rest of that night, one of our buddy's wife ended up getting 2 tattoos done. Well, she got the one done the first day, which took about like 3 hours. She got from a pretty good artist down there, and it covered like like shoulder down, probably to close to her elbow or so. And then the last day of the rally, I believe she went and got the other side done. I believe it was the day before the day of that we were leaving. But anyway, so we spent most of the time down, just checking out the strip and just basically spending the day down there checking everything out. So another part of day 2, when we were down on the strip, we ended up going to this little Indian tent where they were comparing like the new Indian Challenger to like the Harley Road Glide and the differences and whatnot. And so our buddy who had a Road Glide, he was actually going to go test drive the Challenger. He found out that his license was expired or something or whatever it was, so he couldn't go on there. Ended up giving us these cards that said you could get like a free t-shirt or whatever. You just had to go to the dealership. So we saw where the dealership was, like on our little map thing, started walking there, and ended up being like a mile away, like on the other side of town. And instead of getting the bikes, we were walking, since we were already pretty good distance from the bikes. And it was pretty hot out that day, so it was kind of miserable walking down there. And we got down there, got our t-shirts, hung out inside the shop for a little bit, and we were actually surprised because you got like free pops and stuff like that, and they had like some free drinks and everything. So we just kind of sat there and kicked back for a little bit, and then made our way back to the rally to check out some more cool stuff. And then on day 3, I believe, it was time to finally get some riding in, or some more riding. So we decided to go ahead to Deadwood and ride around some of the Black Hills. And it was pretty awesome heading down to Deadwood. Just on the way down there, riding through the Black Hills and everything, just seeing how just those hills like look as you're riding through like these, wavy roads and everything, and just everything was just, it was crazy cool looking. So, and like I said, we didn't even scratch the surface of like the riding spots down there. So like I can't wait to go again like next year or whatever, and find some more newer spots to ride and everything, because it just, everything down there was just so cool, and just the view was awesome. So we ended up heading down to Deadwood, and Deadwood was another really good, cool place that I liked. It was just awesome little town. So we went down there, walked around. There was a guy that had these big like wooden statues and things that he did with like a chainsaw. So he had these big, huge ones outside, and then they had like a giant chair that we all sat in that said like I think it said Dead Man's Hand on it, I believe, or something, and then it had Wild Bill on there, and so we got pictures in that. And then we headed down and we went to Sick Boys, which is like a motorcycle like apparel shop and stuff. They had a lot of cool stuff there. The place next to it, I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was some like t-shirt shop deal, and they had some other stuff too. But it was like a printing press, like t-shirt thing, so you could go and you can get like cutoffs, or you can get t-shirts made. And they have like this big press that they go and they'll make them right in front of you and everything. And so I got a couple things there. I got some stuff for the kids and everything, and that place was pretty cool. And then we went and checked out, like I said, Sick Boys. They had cool chopper in the window and stuff like that, and they had some pretty cool apparel and just kind of neat stuff hanging around. And then after that, we ended up heading down to a little bit further down, and we went to the bar. It's like a bar slash like museum, and it was they had stuff for like Wild Bill, and they had Wild Bill's death chair that was supposedly where he got shot and everything, and the chair that he was shot in hanging right above the door. So we got pictures by that. And just like I said, it was part museum, and so they actually had like some pretty decent security there. They had like 3 or 4 guys, like for this fairly small bar it looked like, but like as soon as we walked up to it, like they card you, they check everything, and like me and my brother had some knives. We had these Damascus knives you can check out in the other video, and so we had them hanging on our sides out in the open, and you can walk in with those on, but he would let us put them like in our backpack or whatever, but he didn't want them out, I guess, or something. So we went and did that, and then they let us all in, and then they had a couple more security like right by the door, and then another security guard by this other door, and like, so I don't know if people try to take stuff or what, or if they're just being extra cautious during the rally or what it was, but I thought it was kind of funny. But they had a lot of cool, like I said, a lot of cool stuff, a lot of old pictures and everything hanging around. And like I said, like being able to take a picture by the chair and everything was pretty cool. Just the history stuff of everything that happened around there is really neat, and I'd like to look a little bit more into it. Next time we go, I believe his burial spot and stuff like that's out there too somewhere, so I'd like to check that out eventually and see some of the other stuff out there. next up, we ended up heading out from Deadwood and doing some more riding around, and we went and rode around by I think it was Lake Pactola, I believe it was called, and that was some pretty crazy cool, like just scenery. We're going through all these big trees along the side of you. We're going through like hills that have just a hole knocked out in them where you can go through, um, and then just getting up there, I think it was like a dam or something that we were on, just this giant bridge though, and you can just look off, you can just see all the water and everything, and then once you get up by the lake, you can just see the lake and just everything around, and you have just so much scenery out there. And I was able to get a little bit of that with the GoPro as well, and just everything out there, like I said, it was just so cool to see, and just awesome scenery. So we ended up stopping there, and there was a little stop off to the corner, and so we took a little break, and there was a little trail that kind of led down to the lake. They had like a little beach area, so some of the girls went down there, and then some of us guys just hung up, and like they had these pretty cool rocks that you could sit on, where you could just look out and see everything out there, and it was just a really cool looking place. So I'd like to ride around that again. That was pretty cool looking. And then after Pactola, we decided to go to Mount Rushmore, because me and my brother, we had never seen it before in person. So we decided to put that on the list of things to do while we were down there. So we ended up, riding around more, heading out to Mount Rushmore. Once we got there, it was pretty packed, but we were able to get in, and it was pretty awesome seeing it up close, just how massive everything was, and just to think of that's man created, and it's on the side of a damn like hill, like it was pretty crazy. So and to see it up close and how big it is, and just everything was pretty awesome. So we got some pictures in front of that. There was also a guy there that was dressed up like Abe Lincoln, and I'm hoping that they paid him pretty good well, because I mean, again, it was like another 90+ degree day, and that guy's dressed in a black suit, black hat, head to toe, and it just, I don't know, it'd be miserable having to be out there all day like that. But yeah, we got pictures with him too, got to chat with him for a little bit, so that was cool. then after all that, we ended up heading back to camp. Well, first we pretty much rode around the rest of the day, just rode around all these cool little areas, and then we headed back to camp. And then a buddy of ours ended up wanting to go back down to where the rally and everything was. There was a place that was doing some pinstriping that he wanted to do. So he wanted to go and get his bike pinstriped. He has a Harley Softail Standard. So he went and got some stuff done on that, and that turned out pretty cool. So we got a nice little video of that too that you can check out. Also, so once we got back, while we were waiting for Braden to come back from getting his pinstriping done and everything, we went up to the little local bar at our camp and everything like that. And a buddy of ours and my brother decided that they were going to do some karaoke. So unbeknownst to them at the time, I got a video of it. So I'll share that with you guys here too.
Talking to you, drunk and on the run, sitting on the bar on the inside, waiting for the crowd on the outside.
Alright, so the trip home, finally we had the trip home, and the trip home was pretty crazy. We had one more place to go to, and that was Full Throttle. So we packed everything up, got everything, done fairly early, and we were gonna head there. And so as soon as we got to the outskirts of town, there's a spot where kind of the speed picks up, and it goes from like in-town speed to like 30-45 miles an hour or whatever. And we hit that, and all of a sudden we see this white truck in front of us, and it looks like it's moving. There's no lights on or anything like that. And then all of a sudden our whole line of bikes gets up to this truck, and all of a sudden we notice that it's just parked in the middle of the road pretty much. So we're like, oh crap. So we hurry up and we zigzag around it. The guy behind me, behind everybody else, they start zigzagging or whatever, and gets through the last couple people. And our buddy, one of the very last guys, he thought the same thing when he was coming through. He saw, us moving over. He thought we were just passing just because the truck was moving slowly or whatever. And apparently, he then, as soon as he saw that it wasn't moving, it was too late to correct, and he ended up having to lay the bike down and ended up getting stuck right up underneath this guy's truck and just totaled his bike. And me, I was more toward the back, so it was like me, a buddy of mine, and then we had I believe it was Dan and his brother that went down. So there's like four of us, I think, toward the back. And all of a sudden we heard something, and I look back in the mirror, and you can see him sideways, and all I saw was the truck and just him. After everything happened, that's all you saw was just him sticking out sideways of the truck or whatever. And so me and the other buddy, we hurried up and whipped our bikes around, went back. The whole rest of the group, they didn't know what happened. They just kept going. And so we got there and checked on him, and thankfully he was okay. He just seemed like he walked away with a scratch on his elbow. And he was he took it pretty well. He was pretty calm about the whole thing, a lot calmer than I would have been. But that was the main thing, that he was all right. So we were glad that nothing bad that way happened. And then we had to wait for the tow truck to come because it was totaled, and just everything folded back, like the highway bars, the pegs, like everything. It just messed the whole thing up. So we had to wait for a while. The cops showed up and everything, got statements and whatnot, and then finally we were able to go. And we went and ate at this little Chinese place. They had like a little Chinese booth or something like that out on the strip there while we were waiting for everything. And then we decided to finally head out, and we reached Full Throttle, and we were able to hang out there and check everything out there. And that was a really cool place. I really like that. I'd like to check that out again next year. And just have a little bit more time to go check out more stuff. Just around there. But it was awesome. They had the bike from one of my favorite shows there. It was Harley Davidson on Marble Man with Mickey Rourke. They had his bike hanging up in there, so I got a picture with that. We got pictures in front of the stage and everything. And then we went to the merch shop, spent a ton of money at the merch shop. And then I was looking for a black bandana because I saw these people walking around with some black Full Throttle bandanas. And like, I'm a bandana guy, I always wear them. So, I wanted to find one, and I get there, and they have like 3 different colors. They had like green, blue, and red, I think. They didn't have any black, so I kind of lucked out there, but hopefully next year. But went and did all that, and we just kind of hung out for a little bit. There wasn't a whole lot of people there, and then the owner showed up, Michael Ballard, and so we got pictures with him and everything, and he was signing stuff if you want stuff signed. So I didn't really have anything out. Like everything I bought at Full Throttle was black, because I wear mostly black. So I'm like, well, none of this is going to show up. Well, I happen to be wearing like a Sturgis t-shirt, and it was like gray. So I'm like, it might show up on that. So I just walked up, me and, my wife got a picture with him, and then I was like, yeah, I'm like, you want to sign a t-shirt? Or he's like, yeah, sign my sleeve or whatever. So when I got home, I just chopped the sleeves off, to keep the autograph and everything. So, but it was pretty cool. Didn't really expect to run into him there, so it was pretty neat. So then after that, we ended up getting ready, and just, we're heading home and making the trip home. And the first stop that we were supposed to hit was that little tiny gas station that had the spray chamber and everything that I talked about previously. And me and a couple other buddies, we put our blinkers on, we're going to turn, and then our buddy that's leading the group doesn't turn his on, he just keeps going. So then I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, it's my first time being out in Sturgis, so maybe there's another spot somewhere, a little gas station or whatever, that I didn't know about. So we keep going. We all kind of look at each other, and he had a street glide, so he's got a little bit bigger tank, and then our other buddy had a road glide, so he's got a little bit bigger of a tank. The rest of us didn't have as big of tanks, so we looked at the we were all hoping that there was a gas station because we just gone like 77 miles, and then I think the next place, I think it was like 122 or something, or whatever it was, miles away. So I knew, at least on my bike, I have like a 4.3 or 4.4 gallon tank, so I can make it 160-ish range, usually, but I never pushed it that far, so I didn't quite know. And so we keep going and keep going and going, and all of a sudden I'm getting closer and closer, and I had hit the little tripometer thing, so I was keeping track of how far it was, and we're getting up to like 140, mile range, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, I, maybe something's coming up, and then all of a sudden the 150 range, I'm like, okay, this isn't good, and then I hit 160, and my light was on by that point, and then it was on for about, I don't know how many miles, before that, and then all of a sudden I hit 168, like on the dot, and all of a sudden just light goes out, and I'm like, shit. So I look over, I'm pointing at my tank, I'm like, I got nothing, and all the other people, they're like, same thing, they're looking down and they're pointing at their tanks, and they're going like that, going like that, saying that their light's been on. Well, we all pull over, and I tell them that, I ran out of gas, and then my brother goes, yeah, my gas light's been on for about 15 miles, and the other guy goes, yeah, mine's been on for about 10, 15 too, and everybody else behind me says the same thing. So all of their lights are on E and just about ready to go out, and the only two that have gas is like the two baggers and then our buddy who's got a Road King that's got like a 6-gallon tank or whatever. So we end up sending those guys in to get gas, and then they come back with like a couple of water jugs that they dumped out, and so I let everybody else fill up before me, and then I dump whatever was left over. Well, I didn't get quite enough, and we started going again, and I thought, okay, smooth sailing now, and then all of a sudden, boom, 7 miles from the place that I got to gas up at, boom, I'm out of gas again. And this is like out in the middle of nowhere, so there's like no trees, no shade, no nothing, and it is just hot again. So we had to sit out there again, and then we had our buddy with the Road Glide. He drove into town. Everyone else just kept going. We told them to keep going so that they didn't run out too, and that they could get to the gas station and fill up and then just wait for us there. So we end up waiting. He comes back with the gas, finally fill it up, go all the way to the gas station, fill up there, and then we decide up, getting up and going again, and then it was pretty smooth sailing after that. The only problem was just how much time everything took, and it took so much time that we ended up like half the night we rode through. Like we ended up having to ride in the dark quite a bit, and so about half the ride was in the dark. So we decided to kind of all go single file. I told my buddy up front who was leading, I got blue lights on my bike, that are pretty bright. I said, I'll flip these on, I said, so that way if you don't see my lights back there, that means something went wrong, or somebody's needing help or whatever, So we just did single file, the rest of the way, tried taking it easy. It was getting kind of cold. We saw some deer and some raccoons and stuff like that. Luckily nothing jumped out too bad in front of us. Yeah, so luckily, nothing jumped out in front of us. And we ended up getting home probably, I think by the time that I laid down finally, it was like 4, almost 5 in the morning. So like we literally like rode all day, and then I had to pick up my kids too that night because the next night my mom had to work, so it was pretty crazy ride home. But I mean, everything else that went on, like it was a great trip. Like I said, really good friends that we went with and everything. And definitely would do that again. Definitely recommend going down there, even if you don't want to go for, like the rally itself. Just going down in that area just to check out the riding, when it's a little less traffic and stuff like that. It's, like I said, very awesome scenery down there. So, alright guys, and that about wraps up the Sturgis video. So I want to say thank you to everyone that takes time to watch these. And it doesn't seem like a lot. Like, I got 140 subscribers, I think, this weekend, or up to that. So appreciate everybody that is subscribing and everything. Once it gets big enough, I would like to do some giveaways, or some kind of contests and stuff like that. But thanks for everyone that takes time to watch these. It means a lot. And also be sure to follow at Charlie Hustle. He made a pretty awesome logo for us and everything. And I've known him for quite a while. He's a pretty good guy. So be sure to follow him. Like I said, if you're down in Texas or anything where he's tattooing, go check him out. Be sure to follow our other social medias and stuff. I just started a Twitch that me and my wife both kind of use. So if you want to check out some of the gaming that we do on there, that would be great. But yeah, just make sure to follow, subscribe to this channel, and thanks again, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.